where
It would have gone nuclear, man. It would have gone fucking nuclear.
you think so? Probably, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, but the question is, if it went nuclear, it's like who pulled the trigger. So, I mean, it probably would have been technically a false flag deep state operation, or Russia would have actually detonated and said, okay, we can't deal with this anymore. Like now we're not playing games. Make another, do it again. If the war, if you
Like, if
don't
you
come to
think
terms,
about
like
it,
we'll nuke you too. I mean,
if if like you're a modern nation state, you're going to use any tool at your disposal. America is doing that economically wise. Like a trade war is like a fucking real trade. It's like an actual war, but with money. It's brutal. It's brutal. A lot of companies will not make it. They will not make it at all. And, like how Trump posted on Twitter before it was turned into X, it's a casino, so you better enjoy the ride.
Honestly, I didn't even know Kamala's policies. Like, what would have even been done? I just feel like
Anti-business, man. Anti-business, anti-AI, anti-like pro-development, anti-humanity, pro-nihilism, pro-death, pro-the grave, pro-the tombstone, pro-like the ringing of, the end of days. They're complete nihilists. They're anti-life. That's the sort of genetics of it.
it's true. For a second, I want to be like, oh, wait a second, they're not anti-business. They're pro big business, but like only for the cultural left-leaning big businesses. If you were pro DEI, you would have been okay in her books, but the more extreme you are, the better you would have been in the books. So technically, like Zuckerberg's apology letter to Trump and how Meta and supposedly Google don't allow aren't censoring conservative speech anymore. It's all still bullshit. Like they still censor. They still. So I mean, this is the revolution, but let's hope it's like a real revolution, not a fake revolution.
I wish that Trump would, maybe he's thinking 2 steps down, like maybe third order sort of effect, sort of thinking where you're thinking, 3 chain reactions down the line, if this, then that sort of thinking, which is, for a lot of people, it's really hard to do. Like, a lot of people are just sort of really focused on the now, the present. But, it's like those analytical types that are able to sort of pierce through the veil, set up a chain, sort of, what's that, a Goldberg machine, where sort of one chain reaction sets something else, and they're sort of able to like chain link that. And I think Trump is able to do that. And I think he's really going to aim for the Fed. He has now found an on and off button that allows him to control the stock market, and that's tariffs. And that also influences the U.S. Treasury yield. He could then go to the Fed and cut the head of Hydra from the very heart. I think maybe
he's not going to though. I don't think he actually can, because he even said, why don't we get the IRS off the Americans' backs? He goes, oh, it'll only take an act of Congress. So the fact is, because of because of Congress and the checks and balances, like it's a very complicated maneuver, which is so highly controlled, and so because it's in the fucking paperwork, they got the charter. So like, how do you cut the head of the snake when they got all the paperwork, they got all the receipts?
National security. As the president, you can do something called national security, and that obliterates everything. They won't stop.
But the problem is, the thing is, if he has a group of people that are supporting him within the banking industrial complex, there's no reason to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. Without it, we're actually very weak. It's better to have the ability to bluff and to continue to manipulate the currency than it is to be honest. I mean, that's the thing, is like Kamala, she's the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. And that's, I don't know, I'm just saying we need transparency, but to kill it might be like taking the oil out of the engine, and then the whole vehicle stops working.
I think the future is going to be versus these two components. It's going to be Bitcoin versus actual minerals like gold. And China, I think, is going to go towards that option, gold. I think America is going to go towards that sovereign wealth fund, toward Bitcoin. I think that's like what I've been sort of been reading about.
Wait, what was the second part after the Bitcoin? Oh, minerals and other commodities.
Yeah, gold. Yeah. Mm-hmm. China's going to go towards that route.
I think we'll get a rate cut as well.
Did you guys ever hear about Mao offering 10 million Chinese women to America as a trade deal?
No, really.
Yeah. So it was like some newly released transcripts of Henry Kissinger's 1973 meeting with Mao. This is what it said. You know, China is a very poor country, Mao's quoted as saying during the exchange. We don't have much. What we have in excess is women. So if you want them, we can give a few. So maybe, you know, we can go back to those more traditional times like 1973. Let's exchange some women, you know, for these incels here in America. Let's get them their hot Asian wifeys.
Yeah, I've read somewhere like throughout history, women would be offered like that. I actually have an article pulled up as well. Mao offered Kissinger 10 million Chinese women. Interesting. China's very important. Yeah. That's hilarious.
So I just found this article written in 1987 that was published in a full page on the New York Times, September 2, 1987. So it goes like this. There's nothing wrong with America's foreign defense policy that a little backbone can't cure. An open letter from Donald J. Trump on why America should stop paying to defend countries that can afford to defend themselves. To the American people, for decades, Japan and the other nations have been taking advantage of the United States. The saga continues unabated as we defend the Persian Gulf, an area of only marginal significance to the United States for its oil supplies, but one upon which Japan and others are almost totally dependent. Why are these nations not paying the United States for the human lives and billions of dollars we're losing to protect their interests? Saudi Arabia, a country whose very existence is in the hands of the United States, last week refused to allow us to use their minesweepers, which are sadly far more advanced than ours, to police the Gulf. The world is laughing at us, at America, at its politicians as we protect ships we don't own, carrying oil we don't need, destined for allies who don't help. Over the years, the Japanese, unimpeded by the huge costs of defending themselves, as long as the United States will do it for free, have built a strong and vibrant economy with unprecedented surpluses. They have brilliantly managed to maintain a weak yen against a strong dollar. This, coupled with their monumental spending for their and other defenses, has moved Japan to the forefront of the world economies. Now that the tides are turning and the yen is becoming strong against the dollar, the Japanese are openly complaining. And in typical fashion, our politicians are reacting to those unjustified complaints. It's time for us to end our vast deficits by making Japan and others who can afford it pay. Our world protection is worth hundreds of billions of dollars to these countries. And their stake in their protection is far greater than ours. Make Japan, Saudi Arabia, and others pay for the protection we extend as allies. Let's help our farmers, our sick, our homeless by taking from some of the greatest profit machines ever created. Machines created and nurtured by us. Tax these wealthy nations, not America. End our huge deficits. Reduce our taxes and let America's economy grow unencumbered by the costs defending those who can easily afford to pay us for the defense of their freedom. Let's not let our great country be laughed at anymore. Sincerely, Donald J. Trump. Pretty based. What were your thoughts on that, John? What about you, Martel? Pretty based, right? Like, you know,
Based.
if you want your freedom, the so-called freedom of democracy in your countries, or whatever that means, freedom of the markets, you better pay us a little bit of money. You know, that's all we're asking for your protection. You know,
I couldn't agree more. And
yeah.
When I was younger, I used to actually kind of share sentiment. I'm like, why does it always feel like America has to like cave into these other countries and get so much money to here and there? Like, we're not donors. Like, and when I was younger, I just couldn't explain it. But I'm just like, it just doesn't feel right. Like, how come the money doesn't just go out to the people that live in America, the Americans, us? Like, I don't know. Like, so for Trump to actually come out and express that sentiment, I think a lot of people are like, yes, this is what we've been thinking, right? This is
so crazy. He's really taken some of like the more populist rhetoric and ideas, harness it under his own brand, I guess. But like, he's taking the steam out of like the Democrats. He's taking their best ideas.
If you knew, like, yeah, like so many of the people of the left switched to not even, I wouldn't even call it right at this point. Like, the Republican Party or the so-called right just seems so different than what it traditionally was, you know, how it used to be, right? Like the Bush and these types of eras. It's just like so different. It's like revamped, where it has like, where it kind of shares like, it's like a combination of sentiment on both sides, but it's like more based, like it's more with logic rather than like this. I think the left is a little delusional in some of the.
Yeah, no, they've really lost like some of their really great intellectuals.
Yeah, and
the intellectuals have really shifted rightward. That's like where all the exciting conversations are taking place.
And it just feels like,
yeah,
as much as the people are trying to see what the left are trying to say, it's not making sense, and it just seems very delusional. People are like, the right makes way more sense. and it's more logic based, and it's like, hey, we're doing things within what we can do, and this is what makes sense, right? It's like the right doesn't live in like this delusional state, right? It's all logic and facts, but like the left just lost it, I feel, and that's what it really seems like.
Well, guys, I gotta go. I'm like halfway through Sonic 2. Last night I finished watching the first Sonic, and I'm on the second movie. It's pretty good. Highly recommended. There's some pretty funny bits. Like I didn't know like there's some pretty dirty jokes in there, and for the grown ups, the kids wouldn't understand. But yeah, it's really good. It was good talking with you guys. Really,
Likewise, yeah.
great group of people here on Clubhouse.
Hey, take care, man. Yeah. Hey, Dr. Adrian, JB is running a healthy debate show with Uncle Steve. And get ready for tomorrow. I'll call it right now, okay? So Apple is going to be at 219 by the end of the week. Mark my words. Apple at 219, Tesla at 298. The SPY, the S&P, the SPY is going to be at. I'll be pretty reasonable. The SPY will be at 550 or 555. It'll be another $20 gain by the end of Friday afternoon. And I will call. This is going to be a big one, but we're going to go NVIDIA at 120. NVIDIA at 120 on Friday. By Friday. Unless we get that pullback from Friday with the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report, where that comes out and those numbers are bad, then everyone panic sells, right? But 120. We'll get ready for a rally tomorrow. So load up on calls. It'll be some easy money.
Mimetic Master.
So far, you can make that argument. But remember what we said when I said in my first breakdown, I said he was a murderer from the beginning. The word murder is there. So now I have to find the murder weapon to make my case. This is part of my case. I'm making a case, like, you know what I'm saying? So now I need to find the murder weapon, the only murder weapon, and I challenge anybody to find another murder weapon or to prove that this is not the murder weapon, was found in Genesis chapter 3, verse 24, where it says he put the flaming sword in front of the tree of life. In short, I gave you guys a scripture. He put the flaming sword. Who's that he that put it there? It says that God did that. Why would God put the flaming sword in front of the tree of life? Why would God do that?
So
God wouldn't do that.
So
then the devil lied. You see that? Remember what I said when I brought that scripture? I was like, see how the devil lied from the beginning? The Father lied from the beginning, said that he was God, said that he created the heaven and the earth, and then the murder weapon is what? The flaming sword was put in front of the tree of life. Who put that flaming sword there? God did. Doesn't make any sense. The devil did. Now it makes all the sense. The devil lied, said he was God, put the flaming sword in front of the tree of life because he did not want Adam and Eve to live forever. After he told them that you cannot eat off the tree of knowledge because I want you to remain ignorant of the knowledge of good and evil. That's called perfection, y'all. Y'all got that on replay? Damn, that shit is going to be in the Smithsonian Institute.
Just because you're conflating doesn't mean
I got it. That's my breakdown, y'all. So tell me what you don't like about it. Come on now.
Hold on, you want to know what the murder weapon is at?
crazy.
Hold on, I'm gonna show him the murder weapon right now.
Yo, the murder weapon, I got the flaming sword.
Hold on. I'm gonna show you the murder weapon right now. Because you think you know something, but you don't. Go to Genesis 4. Go to Genesis 4.
Okay, so Genesis chapter 4, verse what?
I got you right now.
All right.
So verse 4. Chapter 4 and start at verse 5. And it says, but he had no respect for Cain and his gift. So Cain became very angry and his face became sad. Then the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry and why are you looking down? Will your face not